Oh, yummy! That's what all those fear-mongering folks want you to think when it comes to instant noodles. Aren't you sick of all these myths? These lies? Well, if you want the truth, you've come to the right place. As a noodle chef, a noodle connoisseur, and literally a packing bowl of noodles, I'm here to cook some instant noodles while debunking 5 common instant noodle misconceptions we've been constantly hearing about by folks who didn't even bother to do the research themselves. Sorry, who's serious?
Yes?
Good! We shall start with the first myth, and that is, instant noodle blocks are coated with wax. For generations, people have been spreading this myth like it's some kind of ancient wisdom, claiming that instant noodles are drenched in wax as a preservative. They say this explains why the noodles have a long shelf life, why they're hard as bricks, and why the boiling water turns cloudy. Now here's the truth. Instant noodles are not coated in wax. The reason they're called instant in the first place is because they're pre-cooked. Every noodle, whether fresh, dried, or instant, goes through the same initial process. Wheat flour turns into dough, dough gets shaped into noodles, and then the noodles gets boiled. But here's the difference. Instead of being left out to air dry like regular dried noodles, instant noodles get cooked twice. They're shaped into that iconic wrinkly square or circle for compact packaging, and then they're either deep fried or baked until they're solid. That's what makes them instant, because they only need a quick boil to rehydrate. As for that cloudy water, relax. It's just starch, because wheat noodles are made of wheat, not wax, not microplastic, just flour and water. So no, our RWs aren't getting a candle making session every time we eat a bowl of ramen. The second myth we shall debunk is the MSG in the seasoning can cause brain damage, hair loss, and even cancer. Oh gosh, where do I begin? First off, there is no scientific evidence claiming that MSG could do such damage. And before anyone comes at me with, but it gave me a headache once, let's stump facts. Studies have repeatedly confirmed that MSG does not cause harm at normal consumption levels. In fact, do you know what naturally contains MSG? Tomatoes, cheese, seaweed, mushrooms, grapes, meat, eggs, to name a few. You've been eating all those your whole life, and guess what? You're fine. So if you have a headache because you ate something with MSG, you must have consumed more than you should. If you happen to personally be allergic to MSG, then I'm sorry to say, but that's a you problem. And chances are you're also allergic to other foods that naturally contain MSG, which is okay. But what's not okay is you thinking you have the rights to demonize MSG as a whole. So no, MSG is completely safe to consume, in moderation of course, the same way we should consume literally everything else in moderation. And again, there is no scientific evidence linking MSG to brain damage, hair loss, or even cancer. In reality, these health issues are far more likely to stem from lifestyle choices, other unhealthy habits, or even inherited genetics. Now that we've cleared up the nonsense about MSG, let's talk about the real reason this little packet exists. This thing has been demonized left and right, but have you ever actually taken a moment to inspect it? People fear what they don't understand, so let's fix that. What if I told you everything inside this packet is no different from the seasoning we've been using every day? If you've watched my Queso's ramen taste test video, you'll know what I mean, as I had to make the seasonings from scratch. See all this? This is what tends to be contained inside those tiny seasoning packets. Basically everything you'd use to season your homemade dish, just in a compact, dehydrated, pre-measured form. That's the whole point of instant noodles. The seasoning packet is there to save you time and effort. It basically contains the same everyday ingredients blended together through years of research and development, so you don't have to spend time balancing the flavors yourself. Now don't get me wrong, instant noodles can be high in sodium, but you're not forced to use the entire seasoning packet. You can always adjust it to your taste.
But the seasoning packets also contain tons of preservatives.
And you think your bottles of soy sauce and hot sauce have no preservatives? That's right. Now let's move on to debunking the third myth. Overcooking the MSG can turn the seasoning toxic. Now I get this a lot. And I really mean a lot, especially in my Indomie cooking video where I simmer down the seasonings before tossing the noodles in. I get comments saying that's dangerous or it releases toxins, yada yada yada. I honestly have no idea where people get this idea from, but if they ever learn how ketchup is made, they'd probably lose their minds. So no, that's a myth. Here's the truth. MSG, or monosodium glutamate, is a flavor enhancer. It's the sodium salt of glutamic acid, an amino acid that naturally occurs in so many foods. Just like we covered earlier. When MSG is heated, it behaves like any other amino acid. And sure, if you crank the heat high enough, it might undergo some chemical changes, just like literally any food does when exposed to heat. But does that mean it magically turns into a deadly toxin? No. The U.S. Food and Drug Administration, aka the FDA, has confirmed that heating MSG does not produce any known toxins. The FDA's GRAS designation for MSG means that experts considered it safe under typical conditions of use, including the normal range of cooking temperatures. So unless you're out there incinerating your noodles in a volcano, your seasoning packet isn't gonna poison you. Oh, noodles are dying. Perfect time to debunk the next myth. Instant noodles are nothing more than just junk food. Okay, while there's some truth to that, it's not entirely accurate in every case. First, let's break down what makes something junk food. Something that is highly processed and is nutritionally poor, like this plain bowl of noodles you see here, correct? But what if I told you that instant noodles aren't actually the issue here? It's actually the way we perceive them. So try to think of instant noodles as a blank canvas instead, just like rice or pasta. You wouldn't eat those plain, right? My point is, rather than limiting ourselves from it, we should try adding to it instead, like this freshly blanched bok choy for fiber and vitamins, and some boiled carrot slices, adding both vibrancy and beta-carotene for eye health. Now all that's missing is some protein. My personal favorite, a soft-boiled egg with its center still moist and gooey. And if that's not enough, some beautifully sauteed mushrooms seasoned only with pepper, since the broth already has enough sodium to carry the flavor. Finally, a sprinkle of fresh green onions for aroma and a pop of color. Now tell me, does this still look like junk food to you? Sure, instant noodles are a processed food, but they were designed for convenience. In conclusion, start treating it like a real meal. Because of the right additions, you've got yourself a balanced diet in a bowl. And now to debunk the last instant noodle myth. Instant noodles can cause obesity.
That's it, that's right, just let it all out.
Instant noodles don't cause obesity. Calorie surplus and lack of exercise do. That's it, that's the answer. Okay, the end, bye!